Is the 9 steps of the pyramid. That's what I want to go over in this video. This video is about indigenous spirituality. It's about ancient Mexican indigenous spirituality. So if it's prohibited for you to practice other forms of spirituality and learn things like that, then I would say don't watch this video. 9 tiered pyramids that are found in ancient Mexico, and each level of the pyramid is connected to different realms, consciousness, spirituality, and so on. In the last video, I went over directions, and some of that information is going to come up again with the levels of the pyramid. So talked a little bit about north, south, east, west, above, below. I talked about Yeyelis and Pipitlin, the underworlds, and so mentioned emotions in the Yeyelis, and then also the land of the dead, right, the Mictlan, and the land of prophecy, like where one goes to clearly see the future, and then the direction of good things, the east, canceling dreams, a couple of different ways to cancel dreams. Okay, so 9 steps of the pyramid. So step 1 of the pyramid, the Mictli. So the very first level, so again, these are the tiers of the pyramid. So starting from the bottom, that first level, and you'll see in ancient pyramids of Mexico, you will see that they have levels. They're tiered. So starting from the bottom, the first level is the Mictli. It's the lowest level of the pyramid where everyone starts. It's the place of the unconscious dream, the untamed Nahual. The Nahual being the sleeping state, the sleeping body, the unconscious mind. Okay, it says the dream replays our past in the Mictlan over and over and creates the moon's invisible prison. That's step 1. Step 2, the tier 2 of the pyramid, is Temixoc. And I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but I'll put it on the screen, Temixoc. And that's the first step to conscious dreaming. So step 2, tier 2, is actually where the beginnings of conscious dreaming begin. It's where current great lucid dreamers are on. This is uniting the tonal and the nahual. The tonal is the waking self, and the nahual is the sleeping self. It's kind of like the sun and the moon. Tonal nahual, right? So it's like the daytime and the nights, the waking self and the sleeping self, the sun and the moon, life and death. So this is where the tonal and the nahual unite, and becoming lucid and being able to control it. This is where one can observe events and one can find themselves in the forms of archetypes that they've chosen. So this is like the weaving dreams, archetypal images into dreams, and being able to go in and retrieve things like healing, abundance, and prophecy take place on that second level. The third level is where Yeyelis and Pipitlin are. So step 3 of the pyramid, Yeyeli and Pipitlin. So Yeyelis feed off of destructive energy and emotion, both while awake and asleep. The Pipitlin nourish and encourage us to develop our positive qualities such as love, heroism, compassion, and so on. So Yeyelis are beings. They are beings, and they can feed off of energy. So I talked a little bit about this in the previous video. Yeyelis can create chaos. They can create situations in dreams that can cause a person to release a lot of energy in not a good way, like fear. So I'm actually not looking into the camera. I'm looking up here, but it's actually here. They can create chaos in dreams. They can create situations in dreams where the dreamer reacts by releasing a lot of energy, and like fear. So fear, again, emotions are energy. And so releasing that energy, and the Yeyelis are there basically pulling the strings and manipulating the dreamer to release this energy in this manner. And then the Yeyeli can feed off of that energy. I talked a little bit about how a person can go about stopping a dream, canceling dreams when one wakes up. But in terms of energy there in the dream, a person can actually, when they encounter a situation that is pushing and pulling and trying to get fear to be released, these fear-based reactions and emotions, a person can look at a dream and say, okay, there's chaos going on. This is a situation that would cause me fear. This is a situation that would cause me to react in some sort of way, right? Some sort of fear-based reaction. And so one can look for the Yeli, right? Yeli, this being, and one can find the being. And the author actually described, as an example, said that his car was being destroyed somehow. He was able to see and think about a Yayeli and said, wait a minute, there's a Yayeli here that's creating this situation. And he actually went into his car and opened his glove box, I think it was, and he said that the Yayeli popped out like this little being and ran off. Emotions and the importance of controlling emotions and managing and processing emotions and understanding emotion. Where does emotion come from? What causes a person to have emotional reactions? Does a person have to react emotionally to a given thing? Because it's energy that's being released from a person. So the Yeli, if they're able to successfully get a person to release, say, fear-based type emotions, Yeli can feed off of that energy. Yeli is draining energy. There is something else that can be done. The author said he used to do this when he was younger, but he doesn't really do it anymore. He basically just exposes Yelis when he can, in the dreams. He says before what he used to do was he used to tag. One can actually go in and touch the Yeli. Once one discovers the Yeli, touch the Yeli, and what will happen is a transfer power of energy will take place where a person expose the Yayeli and now can pull energy from a Yayeli. They'll usually run off when they're exposed from orchestrating what it is that they were orchestrating. So Yayelis can feed off people when they're awake and asleep. So there is spiritual influence when we're awake as well. Spiritual connections that we have when we're awake as well. And then there are things in the society that we live in and can pull our power with emotion. I mean, I could give some examples, economic systems that, thrive on a constant gains, where things should constantly grow, growth models. And so there's this consumption and then wanting people to be consumers and just consume as much as possible. So consumer-based economies that just always have growth models. When one is in that part of that economic system, money is energy, right? Emotion is energy. And so a lot of tactics that are used, some of them are like making a person feel like they lack, make them feel like they don't have enough, that they need to buy more, that they're somehow going to be better if they spend more on a given thing. So creating a problem and then offering the solution. So making a person feel like they're not enough, like they don't have enough, like they need to change, like they're not whatever, and they need to buy something or have a certain something in order to feel good or better, or for them to feel like they fit in. So creating those kinds of feelings in order to take a person's energy, right? In order to take money, right, which is energy. Another example happens in spiritual systems. If you look at who has a whole lot of power, who has a whole lot of influence over human beings. Spiritual systems, there are some that make people feel like they're not good, like they're bad, like they're imperfect, like they're sinners, like their hearts aren't good and they need to be saved. And so it's telling them and teaching them and making them feel like they're not good, like they're sinners, like they're low, they're not good, and then offering them a solution. And in that process, a whole lot of power is exchanged. Sometimes it's financial power. In history, it's been also political power, and even in the present, political power as well. Trying to create this dependency by using negative emotions and making people feel fear, inadequacy, and all these things. Again, this is the manipulation of emotions. And in doing so, it's depleting that person of power. It's depleting them of their energy. And that energy goes to the one that's orchestrating the show. So it happens when we're asleep. It happens when we're awake. Exposing it, recognizing it, and kind of recognizing who's trying to pull at emotions. Sales tactics, a lot of times will do this where they want to sell. Sometimes they'll create a sense of urgency. That's another tactic, creating a sense of urgency. Hurry up, the sale ends soon, right? Hurry up. So there are a lot of different tactics that take place in terms of power exchange. Understanding emotion, because once one understands what causes emotional reactions, who's trying to create emotional reactions, what kind of emotional reactions are those, why, what's going on, then one starts to, understand more of what's going on around them. Okay, continuing on with level 3. So stopping a dream, okay, by breathing through the right lung, and I mentioned that earlier. I wanted to give the name to that. Witsi Laman is the breathing with the right lung in order to stop the events of a dream. So one closes their eyes and visualizes breathing with the right lung. This is in a dream. So I mentioned in a previous video that I don't feel myself breathing at all in dreams. I know that my body's breathing in the bed, but I don't feel my body that's in the bed at all. I don't feel the breathing or anything like that. And I even remember some dreams where I'm like swimming underwater and actually thinking about breathing and realizing that I wasn't breathing and kind of noticing that in those realms. And that's when I noticed it. I'd have to create that, like a sense of breathing in that realm and those types of energy fields in order to utilize this. 'Cause this is something I haven't tried. Okay, so it says, do this in the dream that needs to be stopped. Stops the action and allows one to observe it. One may uncover Yeyeli. So again, this is the beings that feed off of that energy. They usually run away when discovered. You can chase and touch them and take their energy. It says control of emotions and uncovering them makes them appear less often. So if a person thinks about emotion, works on emotion, understands emotion, processes emotions properly, doesn't like suppress them or have them out of control, if one is managing and working with them, Yeyelis will appear less often because one isn't as prone to releasing energy in that manner to be fed off of by them. Okay, level 4. Tlalauquitemichtli. And that's a sacred place of red dreams. So when things are not normally red, appear red. So, and this is a creative place. There are ways and there are dreams where everything appears red, and that's a very strong creative place. I'll put the name of the book and the author in the description box of this video, and that's a creative place, and it talks about when one is in the womb and the light that one receives when one is in the womb is filtered and red. It's red, the color of mother's blood, and how it's a creative place, and that's where one is dreaming of past lives and of one's future life. And so it's everything that is done in red, in the place of the red dream, must come to pass. Ways of turning a dream red would be like jumping over water, going through a door. So these are tools that one could utilize to help them turn a dream red. Another way would be to getting into a picture or photograph in the dream. So now step 5 of the pyramid, and that's Acatl, and that means reed, R-E-E-D. So this is where the collective dreams are accessed. These are creations of everyone and everything is found at level 5. It appears as a jungle, a forest. We don't move as ourselves on this level, but can move as much more advanced nawals, like the wind and the rain and so on. This is taking care of plants here. They serve as protection. So the caring of plants and caring for plants will receive protection. So that connection with plant life. This is a level where one chooses what to do with the power. And there's a lot of tests of emotion and character. So a lot of tests of emotion and character. And that happens when one is asleep. And it also happens when one is awake. One will be tested. One will face circumstances, situations, people, and one's character and emotional responses are tested. Level 6, Tecpatl, and this is flint knives made of clay. The dream of the rocks is in control on this level, and they are nourished by lower levels. So I think it's always important to be humble. Use plants and use animals and use rocks and crystals and stones, and we're using them. This level, level 6, is the level of crystals, of stones, of earth. And this level is actually nourished by the lower levels. So connecting with rocks, say for example crystals, one is connecting with the crystal, but the crystal is also connecting with you as well. And you're using the crystal is also using you as well. So I think it's important to be humble always when it comes to different beings and the forces that they have, the consciousness that they have. It says we are created by clay and we're the dream of the mineral realm. So we were dreamt by the mineral realm and created from clay. We are the earth's dream. Minerals are actually nourished by all the levels below it. We can go there to get a lot of Teotl energy, but we'll have to deal with a lot of Yayelis who will always want to take the energy from us. So these Yayelis that test us, right? They test us. They do things to see if we can manage power, we can manage, that we can manage energy, right? So they're going to create situations that may get destructive emotional reactions from us and drain us of the energy. So getting to this place is a place of a lot of energy, of a lot of power, but there are a lot of tests to see if a person is able to actually get into those realms, to once one is there, to be able to retain and manage power, right? Energy, because energy is needed for dreaming. Okay, level 7 is Tocatl, which means spider. The spider that knits the collective dream. Let's see, partners, jobs, homes can be revealed here. There was something about inviting people into dreams. It says here, before getting to level 7, the red dream must be mastered first. And then there's this mentioning in the book of codes, not revealing yet the codes that are used for inviting people into dreams and connecting with people and teaming up with people and dreaming together. That's not revealed in the book. His teacher felt that it was not time yet at the writing of that book to reveal that information. It mentioned something about the full moon, the energy. There's quite a bit of energy during the full moon. Lucid dreaming, attempting lucid dreaming with others. Okay, now level 8, alebrijes. So alebrijes are brightly colored Mexican folk art sculptures. So they're these folk art sculptures that are hybrid creatures that are a mix of animals together. So, for example, a rabbit body and a jaguar head, or a dog body and an eagle head. So in ancient Mexico, different animal bodies would be mixed together to make the alebrijes. In ancient Egypt, it was different. Ancient Egypt mixed human bodies with animal bodies. And sometimes you'll see a head and a body, or you'll see the Sphinx, right, which has an animal body and a human head. Other times it'll have like human bodies and animal heads. Ancient Mexico, it's a mixture of different animal bodies. It says the only thing that is known of this, the ancient knowledge of the 8th level, is that they were created to guard the 9th level. So they are guardians of the 9th level. And then the 9th level must be accessed with a partner. So one must go with a partner. And then one must avoid the alebrijes. So the alebrijes are the guardians of the 9th level. The alebrijes, like sphinxes, will challenge, question, and even destroy dreamers. So challenge, question, and even destroy dreamers. And that 9th level is like the mind of God. All right, the 9th level is Kochitzinko, and that's a sacred place of sleep. This is where light emerges from the darkness. It's the mind of Senteotl, the black eagle, the place of the master plan. So this is the last test of power and ego. Here we have a choice to intervene in the master plan. This is where one can transcend the light and darkness of the mind. This is the top of the pyramid of dreams. This is at the very top of the pyramid of dreams. It has to do with those that place the bowl of water or obsidian mirror over their navel. So there are stone images, statues and figurines that are often found. I know I have one from Yucatan, and it is a person and is holding, it's either an obsidian mirror or a bowl of water at the navel, and it is involved in spiritual practice. It's a type of spiritual practice. You can see the figurine. Mexico means the navel of the moon. Water in the mirror, bring those two worlds together, right? So the bringing together of light and darkness, transcending light and darkness, involves water in the mirror that bring those two worlds together. These are the 9 steps of the pyramid of dreams.